HBO Max is cooking up an exciting prequel for It, and this time, rumors suggest we'll see Bill Skarsgård returning as Pennywise. The original films were adaptations from a novel by Stephen King, and the upcoming prequel will bring a story that predates the one we know. Today, we'll discuss the upcoming It prequel and whether or not Bill Skarsgård will be our Pennywise once again. Keep watching to find out. First things first, Bill Skarsgård might reprise his role as Pennywise. It is by far one of the most iconic horror franchises made so far. The films are adapted from the literary works of Stephen King. The last release from 2017, adapted from the story, was remade to suit the present times. In 2019, a sequel was also released where the story ended. In both the films, Bill Skarsgård played the famous demonic clown Pennywise. The actor skyrocketed to fame since that role, all thanks to his creepy version of Stephen King's Pennywise. So far, it's rumored that the upcoming prequel for It will also cast Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. If that happens, fans will certainly rejoice because the actor did justice to the role in the prior films. Since the story in the prequel predates the Losers Club, it will be set in the town of Derry, where a group of young children will become the new main characters. The story will be set in the 1960s and will have an army pilot as it's the main protagonist. His role will be to try and bring people back together in an uncertain time. Since the story takes place in the past, we think it would make sense to have Bill Skarsgård as the perfect choice for the horror villain. While the prequel is going to be directed and produced by Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti, the original makers of the most successful 2017 adaptation, the prequel can only find equal success if it casts Bill Skarsgård as its Pennywise again.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Next, It. Chapter 1 could not be the same without Bill Skarsgård. The first installment of It was led by Andy Muschietti, who managed to create an incredibly frightening visual world of Stephen King's classic novel. The film's main antagonist was Bill Skarsgård, who had done his job so artfully as Pennywise, it was hard to remember who played the character before him. The first installment was so well received that it grossed $701.8 million at the box office, while the second installment only made $473.1 million and gathered little success. Regardless of how well the second film did, the new prequel is set to happen for sure, and it's important to note that without Bill Skarsgård, the prequel might not pull older fans. While Tim Curry was a great Pennywise of the 90s, Skarsgård has universally replaced him as the new contender. The actor's facial features also helped establish the character's terror. While Bill Skarsgård may be an expensive actor to catch, for a film that owes so much to him for its success, the prequel should at least feature him again. The success of the first installment is owed greatly to the storyline and the incredible cast that brought life into the story, so the prequel will need to be cast wisely. Now let's discuss Welcome to Derry. Let's now come to the topic of what the prequel is actually about. While not many details of the prequel have been revealed yet, we know some key points about the plot. This prequel may explore the background of Pennywise and his origins. We haven't really seen much of the clown in his human form before he became an antagonist we know today, so maybe the prequel will explore his background. If they explore the story of Pennywise's beginnings, we'll see more of Bill Skarsgård without his clown makeup. The narrative will also involve a group of children and an army pilot who will gather the townsfolk together in a trying time. Since the plot is still in its infancy, little is known. The prequel will be coming to HBO Max, and while the show doesn't have a release date yet, the filming will probably begin next year and will release around the end of it. The earliest the show can arrive is the beginning of 2024. From what we know so far, there's some cast descriptions making rounds. While we already know there will be a group of young kids in the prequel, casting directors have been scouting for a black male actor who will assume will take the role of the army pilot. One thing is for sure, Pennywise will neither die nor be stopped from malice in this prequel. It's possible that he might become weak, but only time will tell where the story will lead him. Moving forward, if we already know the end of Pennywise, how will Welcome to Derry offer a story? An important question that arises for Welcome to Derry: what will happen in the prequel if we already know Pennywise is eventually defeated? Mike Hanlon tries to offer an explanation and fills the gaps in our curiosity. According to Hanlon, just as the Losers Club set off an echo and sent the monster back into hibernation in their time in 1989, other generations of brave characters might have also done the same. It's possible that these echoes led to the heroes in 2016 finally figuring out the end of Pennywise. The interesting part about Welcome to Derry is the fact that we already know how the story ends. Since the end is known to the audience, the writers will need to find unique ways to keep the audience glued to the screens. The stakes will be raised because there must be something that led to our characters fighting the horrifying clown in their time. The writers will need to really get their creative hats on for this one, because if they don't, it will just be one addition to the saga with no consequences. Maybe the story will pick up on something important that will drive the show for multiple reasons. There's also a chance that that maybe we'll find out where the creature comes from. The show might stray from its source material, and we might have something new to learn about the creature too. For now, this is going to be a challenge for the writers to conquer. Moving on, let's talk about questions fans have for Welcome to Derry. There have been many questions that fans have been bubbling with for the upcoming It prequel. We're going to list some today. First, the identity of Bob Gray. We first learn about Bob Gray in Chapter 2. His existence is brought to common knowledge through his daughter, Mrs. Kirsch, who reveals that her father used to be a circus performer called Bob Gray. When his photograph is revealed, he looks incredibly like Pennywise. The only logical explanation for that likeness is that perhaps It had taken over his body. Gray became a victim of It when he traveled to Derry during the early 19th century. When he did, he became an attractive costume for It, who watched children rejoicing around the dancing clown. Since the clown Pennywise became It's most used form, the fans are curious to know why, and we're hoping the answer will be given in the prequel. Next on number 4, what became of Mrs. Kirsch? Even though Kirsch's father died in the early 19th century, she lived on and had a long life. Fans wonder why It ever let Gray's daughter live when he had already killed her father. There could be a few answers to this pressing question. One explanation could be that Kirsch was simply a smart child, and she managed to cleverly outsmart the creature. Stephen King likes to describe his special characters as having the shine, which lets them foresee terrible things. Her psychic ability could be one of the major reasons why she managed to live that long. Those abilities might have been inherited, and it could also be why It took her father. Surviving It and living a long life is definitely an achievement, and the upcoming series could touch on that and explain why that happened. We might even get to see her as one of the characters. Now on number 3, the origins of Pennywise. The origin of It always has interested fans, and people have wondered where the horrifying creature came from. In Stephen King's book, his origins are described to be from a space between worlds. In the Dark Tower novels, the space that King mentions is named Todash Space. Apparently, Pennywise the clown isn't an actual clown, but an ancient malicious creature that can be thought to be older than time itself. In King's novels, it has a name, Bob Gray, but the on-screen story stays further from it. According to Stephen King's novels, It came to Earth due to a cataclysmic event that took place millions of years prior to the events of the stories we know today. According to King, the creature slept underneath the Earth for millions of years before mankind woke it from its slumber. We have yet to see how the prequel treats its origins. We may eventually find out that he came to Earth against his own will for all we know. Moving forward to number 2, what happens to It when he hibernates? It sleeps for 27 years before he wakes up again to feed himself. Fans had wondered what exactly happens to It when he's hibernating, and why didn't the losers in the original film end the creature when he was vulnerable? Since It is a supernatural entity, his powers are pretty much unknown. While we know he can inspire violence and affect the memories of those who leave, we don't know what happens when he sleeps. Perhaps in the upcoming sequel, we'll uncover what the entity is up to when he's hibernating, and whether he's vulnerable or not. Finally, at number 1, what happens to the people Pennywise kills? Mrs. Kirsch revealed that people don't really die in Derry, but then what exactly does happen to them? That's a mystery that has many a fan scratching their heads. Could it be that their spirits stay alive while their bodies decompose? We can't really be sure about what happens to them because in It Chapter 2, Patrick is able to help Henry escape a mental institution, but he doesn't speak. An explanation for that strange moment could be that while its victims decompose, their spirits remain in service of the entity. Hopefully, a more plausible answer will be given in the upcoming series, and we'll just have to wait till then. That's a wrap for this video. Do you want Bill Skarsgård to return as Pennywise? Let us know in the comments below. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.